You guys know my co-host right there, right there, right there. The beautiful, the funny, the talented Sasha Merci. I feel like we need air horns. We talked about this last time. We need pa, 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 pa. We need
I know,
something.
definitely. We definitely need to, up it up and have like a whole,
We need
mariachi or orchestra, like introduce both of us.
we need you know what we need? We need this pandemic to be over so that we can have a full studio at our disposal. So we can do the magic. The magic,
I
as they
just
call it.
I just did a video because I feel like I'm getting comfortable being home. Uh
Uh-huh.
and so I feel like I am an introvert. Like I always say that. Like I'm not
Yeah.
so much of an extrovert. So I definitely just made a video. I spelled introvert wrong, by the way. I put
Yeah.
introvert. But
Introvert.
yeah, I just did a sketch. That's what I was just doing. And the sketch was basically saying how introverts are like they're getting used to being on their own, being by themselves, being in their house, and then the vaccine is now gonna make things normalized where people are gonna be socializing, talking, all this
Mhm.
stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go out. I don't want to do this, making plans, you know.
Uh-huh.
Because I'm like, I got all this negative energy away from me. I don't have to hang out with people I don't want to.
You know what I miss? I was just talking about this the other day. You know what I miss? I
What?
miss excuses for why I can't do something. Because now you have none. We can't. Oh, sorry, traffic. Oh, the
Yeah,
babysitter. There's no. I miss excuses. Don't get me wrong. When this opens up, there's gonna be. I'm gonna want to go back out and do stuff, but
yeah,
I miss excuses. I
yeah.
miss them.
I mean,
I miss.
yeah, I feel like everyone has the same excuse right now. COVID. I can't go.
Yeah.
COVID. I don't
I
want. I
can't go.
can't COVID.
But then people can still FaceTime you and Zoom you, and you can't. What are you gonna say? Oh, guys, I got stuck. Where in your house? Yeah, I couldn't.
or,
Now you got to be honest. Like I don't want to go. I don't want to see your face. That's it.
or you could just be like, man, I'm still under the weather. Wow, geez, it's been a month, but I
Yeah,
still feel the same.
yeah.
Yeah, you should go to
I,
the.
I, I
I don't really trust the doctor though. You know what I mean?
yeah. I was late. I'm sorry. My Peloton had a flat tire.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah, I miss excuses, but I'm excited once things open back up that we
me too.
can
I'm gonna be out
find a
this.
studio and do stuff and get back up on stage and uh but I don't know what you're doing. Skin looks amazing. Today you got this glow. The curls got the perfect balance. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Thank you very much. I just kind of I just been eating a lot, eating a lot of fast food, gaining weight. I don't know if this is just a sweat from editing videos because
This is just chicken nugget grease.
yeah, I
You
don't know if
think
it's just I'm like editing videos and being like, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm liking my curls. They're
uh,
flourishing. Do you know what I mean?
uh,
How are you been?
I've been good. I saw snow for the first time in 12 years. I had the shovel. I do not like
Mm.
shoveling snow. There was muscles in my back and arms that I forgot about. Like when you do something, you're like, oh, what was that? Like my back was like, hold up, we don't do this no more.
I
It
think you're
was it was painful.
I think you're introduced to those pains 30 and up. I think that's when you get introduced to those pains.
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like when you're younger in your 20s, you could just be like, oh, wow, nothing's happening. And then just by you like picking up a pencil the wrong way, you like straining your,
yeah.
your fingers.
What's going on, Manuel? Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
Gian, Sasha, you so funny. Love your
oh,
skits.
thank you. Like I said, I just did
No,
one today.
yeah, go check it out at Sasha Merci. Yeah, no, it definitely is an age thing because, like, so when the snow happened, my kids wanted to go outside, and
Right,
I remember as a little kid, like, I'd go outside, my hands would be all red, like I did not care.
right, right, right. Hello? You frozen? You got frozen? You frozen right now?
Oh, sorry, I got unstable internet connection. Where'd you get food?
I was like, wow, he's frozen. I might as well take a bite of food.
But let's get started. We got a great guest today. I'm very excited. I I was talking to her before the show, and it feels weird to say like, "Yo, she is killing it in 2020," because everybody's at home like, "Yo,
Yeah.
2020 is." But she really is. She is. Every time I feel like I see a new article come up, it's her name is right there, and she's on. I'm like, dang, she's definitely somebody.
Yes, she's definitely killing it. Yo, what's going on? Every time you freeze, I'm gonna take a bite out of my food.
Hold on, I'm trying Hold on one second. Hold on, I'm gonna try this real quick. I don't want this.
Hey guys, how are you?
The whole time. There we go. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? You can. Cool.
I can hear you.
All right. I just changed it up. We should be good now. So like I was saying before my intro was interrupted, every time I see something come out in the press, her name is on it. I'm excited. It's like, and it's not, she's doing it all on all fronts. Let's bring her in. Give it up for Elaine Del Valle.
Elaine, what's good, girl?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. Excited to be with you. Haven't seen you since the HBO Latino Film Festival in New York, the New York Latino Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Not this year, obviously, the year before.
Yeah.
We partied together.
We did.
We did.
It was like you're like a fairy. I saw you one moment, we had a conversation, and poof, you were gone, and then there's lockdown. But here we are talking, because I texted you the other day. Right?
Yes, you did. And, funny enough, someone the same day asked me, do I know Sasha Del Valle? And I said, Sasha Del Valle? No, the only Sasha I know is Sasha Merci. And it's like we communicated on like another level, because somehow that's where we, that you just texted me the same, like within, I don't know, 30 minutes of me saying your name.
Telepathically.
The universe wanted us to connect again.
No, I believe that. I believe that 100%. That's
Me
a
too.
fact. That's a fact. Well, you look beautiful and all this stuff. So tell me, what has it been like lately for you?
It's been exciting, but as you know, every time something happens in this industry, you have to it's happening, and then you have to be very tight-lipped about it. So then finally when it comes out, it's like, I could talk about it now. And I've been holding myself in for so long for so many projects lately. And I remember when the news just came out about my CBS pilot, I was on the set of a commercial that I was directing in New York. And I didn't have even enough time to read the entire article. I got sent the article by a text, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's nice. They said my name once. And I was so excited because they said my name once, right? That's not the article, though. It was another article. There's
another article, but this one has all the CBS pilots and series orders. Yes, and I got excited. I was like, this is, you're having a killer year.
Yeah, no, but let me finish the story, because funny enough, later on that night, I was talking to one of my executive producers, and I said, I was so excited because like they mentioned my name, and she said, Elaine, scroll. And it was like a whole thing with my bio and everything. And I was like, oh, this is like,
oh my God.
I was just grateful that they would even mention my name and the name of my project. And then it went on to say more and more. And so I'll never forget that moment where like it was about midnight when I was home from my shoot and reading it and going like, I finally feel like I'm getting somewhere. I don't want to say I have arrived.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting somewhere, and it felt really good. It was a very proud moment.
That would have been hilarious if the article stopped like to be continued. One of those like, but pay $5.99 to see it. Like,
I would have been happy to pay $5.99 to get it. Yeah. $599 I would have paid to get it.
Well, that's super huge news, and just you saying like you feel like finally things are moving. How long have you been directing and writing?
So I began my career as an actress. I began acting in the 90s. In the 90s, oh my goodness! And I was actually a pretty successful commercial actress. So I was in lots of Spanish national commercials, and I was like on every commercial. And then I even worked on the show Dora the Explorer for 11 years. So commercially, I was doing very well. I was making six figures as an actor.
Wow.
But I was studying acting at Carnegie Hall under Win Handman, who's a legend in the theater world. And I was getting so frustrated at the lack of roles available to me and the types of roles that I really felt like were me. So I was in the commercial world, I was representing this ideal life for everything, and that couldn't be further from my truth. As you know, my upbringing, I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York, and so I started writing out of frustration, and I ended up writing what became my autobiographical one-woman show, Brownsville Bred, and within a year, I think, I was off Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah, so it got picked up. I was off Broadway, and it became very successful, and it really changed my life and made me understand the power that I had to tell a story and just generate my own work. I don't need people to understand me because obviously my exterior was not matching my interior for them. I couldn't even get a role that was at all like me, or even an audition for it, because I didn't look the part for the casting directors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we saw the movement happen. I want to say like a month or two ago, where we see our stories being told without us in the room, which is so frustrating, because then the stories are not authentic, and they're off. They miss the mark, and then they wonder why Latinos are not tuning in to watch these shows, to go see these movies. And it's like, well, if you don't have the right people, the creative minds working on it, then it's in layman's terms, it's Chipotle. That's what you're serving us. And we're going,
And people get in line for Chipotle, which is crazy to me. But yeah, it's true. Honestly, what you just said was like, it gave me goosebumps, like everything you just said. Just being able to be someone who wrote a book of their life and then perform it, and just really finding their power in that way. I think that, you spoke to me directly, and it just kind of inspired me for sure.
Thank you. But, and then, just writing in general, for me, it's such an empowering thing. And when people pay attention, because the stories are so unique. That's the thing. What you said, Eric, is our stories are not being told authentically. So when a voice comes out that is authentic, people are now paying attention to it. Right. So that's a good thing. It's a good place to be at, the right time, the right place.
So can I ask you, because I love that you wrote Brownsville Bred, and then you took it and you got it up as a one-woman show on stage.
Yes.
Take us through that process, because I've done the acting classes, and then I do meet stand-up comedians along the road, and I tell them the same thing when they're like, oh, but there's no roles for me. I'm like, well, write the role. So how do you go from, I'm going to put this on paper because I'm so frustrated, to getting it up on stage and it becoming a show?
Well, I had an ideal situation. So I was studying under Win Handman at Carnegie Hall, and every week, twice a week, we would put up scenes, and every single time we were in class, the whole class worked. So it was scene by scene, everybody worked together. We were assigned scenes, but back from hiatus, we just chose our scenes. So I said to Win, may he rest in peace, he just died of COVID. I said to him, I'm gonna put up something that I've been writing. And he was like, okay, fine. And I had watched this man knock down everybody who wrote scenes for 3 years that I had been studying with him. Like, he always said to people, don't come here to do your work. Like, I'm not going to write your shows for you. I'm not going to write anything for you. I'm not going to help you write your story. You need to just do the work that I'm assigning you, because that's what's going to help you grow. And that's what I was ready to hear from him. But instead, he said to me, you must keep writing this. So I put it up. I was in an ideal environment, in a classroom full of professional actors that I felt safe with, because I had always been performing and growing and seeing their work as it grew. Every scene grew. And then when I was done putting the show up, scene by scene in the class, after about 3 months, he told me I must keep writing this. I kept writing it. Within 3 months, I finished writing it. And then I was like, okay, what do I do? And then I started joining the festival, the festival circuit, the theater festival circuit. And I won every festival. And then I was like, okay, now what do I do? And he told me, just keep on doing it. And then a good friend of mine, Ruth Otero, who's an actress who did one-woman shows, she said to me, Elaine, why don't you just hit up the New York Poets Cafe and ask them if they'll split the box office with you on like a Monday night. So I did that. I took Mondays and Wednesdays and I grew the show, and it became the most successful show in the history of the New York Poets Cafe.
Wow.
So every night it was sold out audiences. Every time the theater was like packed with people who then brought people because the story was so resonating with the community that was watching it. And then I was like, okay, now what do I do? Because theater, you need reviews.
Right.
So I really wanted to get reviews. And Wynn said to me, do you have a package? I gave him my package, and he handed it to Pamela Mola-Karaman, who was the artistic director of the Schoolhouse Theater up in Westchester. And she came to see my play, and then she loved it, and she gave me a run. So she became my director, gave me a run, and before I took first stage, she told me, okay, the critics are coming, the New York Times is coming, everybody's coming, and I don't want it to seem like I'm hopping on your bandwagon because I don't care what they say. I am allowed to bring one show every year through a LOA contract to off-Broadway. And I've never done an original show before. I've only done classics, but I want to do your play off-Broadway. And the critics came and they all raved, and it was wonderful. And that summer I was off-Broadway, and it was really incredible. I just, from there, I had a book packager that was interested in making my story into a young adult novel. And it didn't work out in that case, but I ended up publishing it as a young adult novel myself earlier this year. And it just became ILBA, the International Latino Book Awards, most inspirational book of 2020. So it's a good story
that's amazing. And but can that, like, for the people watching, like, you know, you said some important keywords there. Like, first of all, you didn't give up on this. You put yourself out there when it came to putting up the scenes. You took the Monday and Wednesdays, which are not ideal nights for people. Like, you know, it's not like they give you a primetime Friday night. You grew the audience,
yes,
and then it became a sold out show. Because I think people get so discouraged because we're living in a time where it's I need to see it right now, and they don't put in that time and effort. And I love that this is something you believed in.
Yeah.
So you fought
when you first invite people, you're inviting them and they're coming as a favor.
Oh yeah.
They don't expect to like it.
And even then, you don't know if they're going to show. Like,
your
friends will be like, yeah, I'm coming. And then the next day you call them and they're like, oh yeah, you know, something better came along. And you're just like, ah.
You know, my people showed up, but I have to say it was because they loved it. Thank goodness that they ended up inviting people. I had one guy say, like, I'll pay for anybody who wants to come, like his whole office. Because I was only going for $10.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to make money on it. I just want the exposure. I just want people to know the story. And I ended up performing for schools, high schools, colleges, universities. I had audiences of thousands of people. So it was a wonderful thing every time I did that show.
My question to you is, did you ever like doubt yourself within the process, or you were always like focused on where you wanted to go?
Okay, so I think that only the most talented people doubt themselves, right? And I think that when I doubt myself, I keep saying that to myself. The most talented people doubt themselves. And so that's what I just keep saying to myself. I doubt myself all the time. But I don't have time to lean into the doubt. I just have to keep moving forward. And then, you know, I have a good amount of people that I trust that I can say, hey, what do you think about this? So my collaborators, you know, I trust them. And the fact that they're believing in me makes me also confident in my abilities.
I'm so happy you said you do, because I was waiting for you to be like, no, I don't. I'm like, me neither. Me neither.
I was like,
No, I get scared. I doubt myself. I get scared before performances. I get scared when I hand in things. I get, I'm all the time like thinking, am I doing the right thing? Even like on a set recently, on a commercial set, it was a very big set. It was a 3-camera shoot, the biggest that I've ever been a part of. Commercially, the budget was outstanding, and it was such a beautiful story. And I was just like, I had never worked with the DP before. He was like, how do you want to communicate? I was like, this is your team. Tell me what works for you. And I don't think I think it could be seen as a weakness. I'm like, am I like selling this guy? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I know what I'm doing here. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I got to give that person the respect so that I could learn from them as well. Because I feel like if you're shutting yourself down to the collaborative effort, what you're doing is you're not exposing yourself to anything that can grow you. And I'm always looking for a chance to learn from people.
Right. I love it. This is something that started off as scenes, then you did a one-woman show, became a book, and now you're going to be making it a feature film, your first feature film.
Yes. It'll be my first feature film as a director. I've been directing for the past, since 2013, I think. I started with a web series because after I wrote the play, I was more determined than ever that I would get my stories out to mass people, because the problem with the play was that, you wanted to invite people over, but not everybody could come. People were out of town. People like Lucinda Martinez had seen a scene from my play through this thing called the Multicultural Media Forum in New York, where I was named as an emerging artist. So she saw the first scene that I was allowed to perform, and she handed me her card. Lucinda Martinez from HBO. She handed me her card and she said, I want to know everything that you're doing from now on. And then I could never get her to a seat because she's always traveling, and, she's just world traveled, and through work, because of work, she's traveling. And so with that, I knew I have to do something else. And I started writing and producing and directing out of default a web series called Reasons Why I'm Single. Reasons, the letter Y, I'm Single. And it's on Amazon Prime. I directed, I think, 6 episodes of it. I wrote and directed 6 episodes of it. And I actually was in it as well. And it was a little comedy. And the first few were just about, girls and trying to connect with a date. And then after that, I started to pay attention to, like, what do I really want to say? So, like, one of them was dedicated to the fact that no Latinos had been nominated for Oscars. And that was years ago. That was like, I think like 4 or 5 years ago now that I wrote that, and I produced it, and I loved it. It was called Ode. It was Reasons Why I'm Single, Ode to Luis Antonio Ramos. And Luis Antonio Ramos is like an actor that we know his face, but we hardly know him, and he should be known.
Right.
And then he was gracious enough to actually be in the episode as well. So, and I had so much fun with that. But then Rashad Ernesto Green, who's a terrific director, he said to me, Elaine, if you want to direct, you have got to stop with the web series, and you've got to direct films, direct short films. And then I started directing short films. My first one was Final Decision. I won a Best Director award and 2 Best Actress awards. And then my next one was Me 3.769, which is now on HBO. And my last one, that one, yes.
I know that one.
HBO. Yeah. You can watch that right now, Me 3.769. Yeah. And then my latest one, Princess Cut, is just won the official Latino Film Festival. And as a result of that, it was one of 3 films that won the HBO Latinx short film competition. And it'll be on HBO come 2021. And I'm really proud of this film. It was the first piece that I ever, wasn't an original thing that I wrote. It was someone else's piece. It was a play that I saw, and I was like, I want to adapt this to film. and I got the rights to do it, and I'm so proud of it because the acting is amazing. It took me out of my own box, and I think that it definitely is my best piece cinematically, and the longest story that I've told. And again, it was a play that was made into a film, which is what I'm doing with Brownsville Bread. So it really it was a lot of reasons why I wanted to tell that story.
Wow, that's amazing. Now that you are a director, was it transitioning hard? Were people like always trying to give you unsolicited advice? Like, how was that journey to become a director?
You know, funny enough, when I first knew that I had to, I didn't know that I wanted to direct. When I was doing Reasons Why I'm Single, I literally asked every director that I knew, would you direct this? And everyone said no. And then I called a woman named Taryn Kosviner, and she and I had done an internship together at the New York Women in Film and Television. I knew that she was a director, and I called her up and I said, hey, I'm doing this thing, and would you like to direct? And she said, tell me about it, Elaine. And I told her about it, and she said, well, it's quite clear to me that you are the director. So I'll be there to back you up. And she was. She's been producing me, and we've been working together on every one of our films ever since. So she was very instrumental in helping me have the confidence that, like, I could tell this story. I know what I want. I see it clearly. I know what kinds of shots I want. But then when I did Final Decision, she was my cinematographer for Final Decision. And I didn't really understand the craft of directing. I knew how to speak to actors and how to direct actors, but I didn't understand how the camera can help me tell that story in the best way. And so I learned a lot from that film, and Me 3.769 really helped me show what I learned. Yeah. And then, you know, Princess Cut just took it to a whole other level. And every time I make a film, I just want to up my game. I want to work with new people, do different things, but also just tell a story in a way that the camera's informing it, in a way that the writing is right, the actors are right, but my strength in directing is still the way that I communicate with actors, because that's my background. And that's what my latest actors, Lauren Rivera and Sydney Gale Emanuel, they were both like, you're the best director, because like nobody ever speaks to us like that. And as an actress, I never get spoken to like that. I never get told why, what, you know, it's always like up to me to make those decisions. And then even like on a television series with big people involved and great directors, like no one comes to like tell you stuff. They hardly communicate with you. Some people just say, go. Right. Like a big director just once said to me, go. And like, that's it. Like never anything. But with me, I say to my actors, like, you have to trust me because you have this part because of what you did in the audition. You have now influenced my decisions way past where I was, but I've had this material a lot longer than you have. And I know what I want, and I know what I'm going to see. So when I tell you stuff and why, you know, you have to not just accept that, but if you don't accept it, allow me the chance to justify it. And I always have the justification as to why I make the decisions that I do as a director. And so that for me, if you're a great actress or actor, you feel that, and there's a lot of trust involved between an actor and a director.
How do you get an actor to trust you? Like, I know you're saying communications, but how do they open up to you and give you what you want?
Right. Well, just exactly what I just said is like, look, the reason why I made this decision is because of you, what you did. And it's always the case. It's always like, you know, I work also in casting. So I'm a very keen casting director, and I know what I want from people. And when I see it, I usually see it immediately, what they lend to the role and everything. So I make them understand how good they are, because to be on my set, you really have to be good. because I depend on you. It could be all the pre-production in the world, and at the end of the day, you're what lands on screen. So I need you to be, at your game, at your best, and I need you to listen and just trust me. And I think that actors trust me because they've seen my other films, and every film that I have ever directed has won a Best Actor award, more than one, so that, that helps them to know. And really, that is what I want in every part that I write. I want that actor who plays that part to have it be the best part that they've ever played. I want them to win every award for it. And that's the kind of performances that I try to get out of my actors.
Well, let me ask you, because I love that you just threw something, you just slid it in like, oh, I also do casting. Just another little tool in your, oh yeah, I direct and produce. I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
When you started, what was the goal? Because I think sometimes people start in this industry, whether it's I want to be an actor, whether I just want to be a writer. And what I love about you is that you have pivoted with everything thrown at you, and you've picked up a new tool, you've sharpened it, and you've put it in your toolbox. And you've got this amazing toolbox of like, oh, I write, I direct, I produce, I cast. What do you need? While some people may fight that. They may go, no, this is what I am. And they'll die on a sword. Like, so when you started, what was your initial goal? And now that you're here, what do you think your new goals are?
My initial goal was to be an actress. I wanted to be a movie actress, like every other person that starts in acting, right? But then when I wasn't getting there, that's when I wrote the play. And ironically, I started casting because someone who hired me to be in a McDonald's commercial came to see my play from an advertising agency and said to me, I want to work with you every day, but I cannot hire an actress every day. So tell me what else you do. And I said to him, what do you need? And he said, do you do casting? And I had never even thought about it. But I said to him, I've been in every single casting director's office in New York and some in LA. I know a good experience from a bad experience. And I think I can do it. And he let me try it. And then I became his casting director really quickly. I was very good at it. I learned all of the platforms. I knew how to respect actors' times. And it is a little hard trying to get agents to submit their actors to you, but it always depends on how much you're paying. So it's always like, if the job is SAG, you're gonna get a lot of people trying to get in there. But over these last 11 years now that I've been casting, I've developed some really terrific relationships with agents. I really, I don't have time for messing around. I don't wanna be personal. I don't need any of that. Tell me, submit who you have when I'm looking for them. Don't send me your stuff. Send it when I'm looking for it. And then you're going to be right at the forefront. That's exactly when I'm going to need you. And I think people really respect that. And I've never had an issue with any agents so it's been a really good journey, and casting has been my bread and butter for the last 11 years. Wow. So casting has literally paid for my films, because I finance my own films, and I even finance the films of others, of like other female filmmakers, Latinos, like people who I feel need a little help, but they have to be working to that extent, because I know what it's like to have somebody say to me, I'm going to produce your play, and then they do it. I know what that's like. I'm going to back you up. Don't worry. I know what that's like. So sometimes when I see someone who's right there and just needs the encouragement, or like when I see an actor who's really talented comes into my room and I'm like, you must continue this. You must take yourself seriously. You must do this to improve. All of these things, like I know what that's like. So I try to give people what I've reaped the benefit of.
Wow. So another question that I have is, how supportive has your family been within this journey for you?
Amazing. My family is, oh my God, I love my family so much. I'm so blessed because, a lot of my stories are based on my family. So I have 2 brothers. I have 2 sisters. My mom is amazing. My father passed away when I was a teenager. But all in all, I have lots of aunts. I have like, I think it's 26 first cousins, no, 27 first cousins, just on my mother's side. My mother is one of 11 children. And so my family has been amazing. They're all happy people, because where they come from, you're either going to laugh about it or you're going to cry about it. And they choose to laugh about it. So I get all of the love and sense of humor and family in everything that I put out there from them. And people have said that my work, you identify people's work by certain little things that happen in them. And in my work, it's been the emotional component along with lots of laughter. So it's sometimes that's really hard to find in work, and that seems to be something that is appearing in mine.
Let me. I want to switch gears a little bit here because we the films are very deep pieces. There's a weight to them. We know you can do the drama. You sold one to CBS that I do want to get into, but before that, you also are in the kids space now, kids animated.
Yes. Well, actually, funny enough, I've been in hybrid animation for a while because I have produced the first interstitial that I ever sold. I was the first person to ever sell an interstitial series to the HBO network. And that was with Grandpa Knows Best by William David Caballero. He was one of the people that I saw had this immense talent. And I said, I'm going to produce you. Let's work together. And we did. We created a web series called Grandpa Knows Best, based on a short film that he had that I saw at a festival. Like I literally hit him up on Facebook. I saw your film. I made a web series. I do a one-person show. I want to produce you. And we started working together. And so I've been in the hybrid animation space for a very long time now. And never mind Dora the Explorer as an actress. And now we have something else called the United Space of America coming out. But what you're referring to is this amazing show called Alma's Way that I have been casting actually since January. And then finally we could say the name, we could say who it's with, and that it's PBS Kids and the amazing people from Fred Rogers Productions and Sonia Manzano, who played Maria in Sesame Street for all of our lives, right? And so I was recommended to be the casting director by the director of the show, Holly Gregory, who I worked with on Dora the Explorer.
Wow.
And she came to me a while ago and asked me, who do you know such and such, when they were just like feeling out the pilot. And so I helped her. No money or anything. I wanted to help her, and I wanted to also expose her to the wonderful talent that I knew of. And she said to me afterward, if this show goes, I'm going to recommend you as the casting director. And then I had to have a lot of interviews for it, but I honestly, I do not think that they could have done any better, gotten a better casting director, more committed, more knowledgeable, who just goes above and beyond for the show, because I so believe in it, and it's so timely. It's set in the Bronx. It's about a Puerto Rican family and this little girl Alma, and it's about emotional and social responsibility, and it's her whole multicultural neighborhood and friends in the Bronx. And I mean, hello.
Yeah.
For me, it's casting all the way, right?
I love it because I know, we're constantly seeing in the press, like, representation matters and we need more diversity on television, but sometimes we forget even our kids need to see themselves on TV, even if it's a cartoon. Like
it's especially. It's not.
Yeah, like
you use the wrong word. You must.
I know, especially. No, I know. Trust me, because I've got 2 boys. And they you don't realize how much it affects them. You don't, until one day they point it out and they're like, oh my, he looks just like me. And you're like, oh my, yeah, holy, I didn't even think about this. So I love that you're doing it, because like it's it should be done. It's like it's a no brainer. Right now we have what Santiago that sees on Nickelodeon, and now this,
Right. And
and
we
we should
had
see
Dora
more of it.
also.
Yeah.
Dora,
Absolutely. When I was growing up, all I had was Good Times.
Mhm.
And because they were Black and from the projects, and I lived in a Black projects, in a Black ghetto predominantly, I was like, oh my God, that's my life. I felt like,
Yeah.
they were my life, especially the relationships between the siblings. I felt very akin to that. And that's all I had when I was growing up. So
Yeah.
I feel very strongly that if we did have that, if what we're seeing now came sooner or more of it, there would be more of us to actually portray those roles.
Yes.
Because there aren't enough of us. So every time that there's like a Latino actor that comes into my room, or a Black actor that comes into my room, into my casting room, and I see like talent, I make sure that I tell them, like, you must, like, you have to do this. You have to do the right thing, take yourself seriously, know your lines. You must be as good as those people who have been doing it forever, because it's always been in their mindset that they can.
Mm-hmm.
They've never been told that they can't. And when I say told that they can't, also the telling that they can is basically not seeing yourself on television, or only seeing yourself in one kind of role, or, to say like, okay, that's not going to happen. So, but now that we are, there are more of us writing for ourselves, there's more, at least in my case, I'm definitely always supporting those actors. And it happens time and time again that I see them, I recognize them, I book them, I work with them, or even if I don't work with them, I always think about them, and I know that there's something more for them out there. It's just a matter of time. And I'm always so glad to say, like, I told you so, when it happens for them. And it does happen. Thankfully, it happens very often. I just don't see enough of those people.
Right.
I think I think, well, going back to like the, this animation and the girl being from the Bronx and all that stuff, like, that was very foreign to me growing up. And, like I would fantasize about seeing these things on TV. But I mean, everything you just said is right on the nail. If we were to see it come, or like before, like if I grew up watching this, and I would feel like, you know what? There's more people, there's going to be more people, more support for us that decide to be in the media, filming TV shows and stuff like that. I also realized it's also very important to have people that talk like you and are like you behind the camera as well.
Well, this show, definitely you will hear people that talk like us, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just the New York accent alone, and it's always authentic voices, and not just Latino, it's Black, Latino, Caucasian, Italian. We have a whole melting pot on the show, and it has been a joy really fighting to get those voices out there and heard, and then putting them all together. And I can't wait for everybody to like have a rap party or like a first watch party, because it's really going to be like family. And you probably know a lot of the actors that are on there. April Hernandez's daughter is the lead. Her name is Summer Rose Castillo. She's I think she's 9 years old, and she is the 9-year-old Puerto Rican girl who plays Alma, who is from the Bronx, and the girl is from the Bronx. We have Victor Cruz on there. We have Jesus E. Martinez. We have Annie Hank. All of these very talented people. We got Flaco Navaja in it. We got DJ Lobo is in it, coming up soon. And many, many, many more. Many more. And not just all Latino and Black, but just a whole melting pot of people. And it's very exciting to have these people on. Emily Isabel, Neo Vela, I could go on and on. Julian Emile Lerner, like, they're so talented, and a lot of them are children. Oh, Danny Bolero, and it's so great to be able to take people from like Broadway, like Anne Harada, and like say like, hey, be on this with us. And this show, even though it's SAG and it's a good contract and everything, we're getting people, or I should say, I'm reaching out to people who are working on Favored Nations contract for us because of the content and the quality of the show and the people bringing it to you. So I try to get people on board, just like with my own, short films that I make, or my own indie low budget films. You have to get people to believe in what it is that you're doing, so that they would rather work for you at a lower rate than do anything else at a higher rate that's not as good quality, that's going to mean something.
Yeah.
I love that Elaine really, you really tried to remember everyone's names, because if they see this, you're going to get a phone call. Oh, you didn't remember me though? What happened? You couldn't say my name?
No. I mean, look, I don't have to say any of these people's names.
Yeah, but
Antonio Rodriguez. Sometimes I remember their emails before I remember their real name, because I'm always emailing them. It's La Loca, whatever her name is. But they're great people. It's been really great, actually, getting to know some people that I've never known before, and also just feeling like you've been a part of giving people income.
Yeah.
Income and doing what they love.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I have a question, right? I see that you produce, you direct, you act, you cast, you do all these things, right? What is the similarity within all of those hats that you wear?
I think every single thing that I do helps me be better at the other thing. So for directing, the way that I communicate with my actors really helps me be the best director that I could be. For acting, and still I act. I still audition for things even. I still act. I love acting. And when I attack a script now, as a writer, I have learned why certain things are in there. And so it makes me a better actor. It makes me better able to portray those words, to have those words in my mouth and really see the why of it. And then as a writer, I'm constantly acting it out in my head and also directing it in my head, because what you write on the page, at the end of the day, that CBS show, they're not going to let me direct it. That would be maybe not the first episode. I'm hoping that I will have a chance to direct within the first season, of the system. Hopefully it gets picked up and all of that beautiful stuff happens. But that's still something that is something that I would be striving for them to allow me to direct it, because I've never directed for television before. But at the same time, I'm being the creator is definitely where it's at. And writing that pilot is definitely a huge, every director that I know has said to me, you don't understand. You don't need to direct. And I'm like, no, but I love directing. But I wouldn't, you asked me before, what wouldn't I trust myself with? I would want a director that I've known their work for a while, to direct that, because I've never done it before, and this is not learning ground. I want it to be the best that it can be. And that's the thing, when you have projects, you need to be able to put your ego away and just do what's best for the project. And at some point, I'm hoping that me directing it will be what's best for the project, but not, I understand that I'm not directing the pilot, and I'm just really happy to be a part of putting on that page what I want the director to put on that screen. So I'm very careful about what I write. I don't give a lot of camera direction in it, but sometimes I do, because it's a very specific shot that will affect the audience in the way that I need them to be affected in order to tell the story.
So,
well, before we're done, I do want to talk the system. I'm sorry to cut you off, Sasha, but this is the most recent project that was announced, and before the show, you and I were talking about, we see these shows all the time get announced and then never there's never any weight behind them. Like so many shows get announced, but like this for me is such an important show because number one, it's very rare we get Latino shows on network television. And then on top of it, it's top to bottom. You're writing, and Andrea Nevada's producing. She's on it. Like you guys have really come in hard, and I'm so excited. And fingers crossed for you, toes crossed, like that this thing gets made and given the chance to live on network television because we
not
rarely
just that, the stories that we are telling in it. You know, our lead character, she's a social worker. Her name is Bridget Hernandez. She's a social worker. She works the New York City system that she also grew up in. So she knows it from the inside out. And she is somebody who helps people on a day-to-day basis. People like the kind of kid that I was in the projects, people who need help. So we have all of these people that are going to be, to me, feeling authentic because it's what I know, right? And then on top of that, the grind of it, right, is the fact that she's having trouble within her own family. So she could solve everybody else's problems except her own. And that's, you know, that's what's definitely, it's a procedural, but it's also serialized. And it's, you know, it's a drama, but there's also a lot of moments of, you know, what I said earlier, like moments of light comedy, because it's not all that, you know, even in the darkest of places, there's so much light. There's so much hope.
Right.
You know, like in Brownsville, there was so much hope. You know, my father was a heroin addict that died of AIDS. I'm like the happiest person you ever met in your life. Like, there's no, you know, like I say to myself, my father is right now like with me all the time. So, you know, there's a way of spinning things and cognitively reframing it so that it'll help you move past it and move into the positive. And I hope that this show will definitely show a lot of things that need to be changed, but also show like somebody who's lived it, trying to change it in her way. And I'm hoping that it'll be, I mean, I know it'll be super entertaining. We're gonna love the characters. It's gonna make us want to see the next episode and make us really root for the people involved. And I'm not gonna, you know, I'm looking forward to showing people marginalized voices, to show them of people that we can all look up to and love,
right?
Which is, you know, what I want all my work to accomplish.
Oh, that sounds like every aunt and uncle I have. They give an advice, but their lives are just a mess. Like, it is what you need to do. Like,
you sure?
Yeah.
Also, she's tough. So, you're gonna really. I mean, I love the character so much. I love her, and I can't wait to share her.
How did this project come together? Like this just seems like a dream team here of creatives coming together to put this together.
Oh boy, how did it come together? Well, it all started when I went into a Sundance lab for episodic writing. I was a Sundance lab director, and then I took an episodic writing lab, and I learned so much. I actually went into the episodic writing lab trying to write Brownsville Bred as a series. And then I realized that's not really everything. That's not the best thing for a series. Like when I learned what a series needs, that's how I started creating the character. And then when I started creating like a lookbook for her, I reached out to my dear friend, Andrea Navedo from Jane the Virgin, who I've known for years. We used to audition for commercials all the time together. And then I started hiring her for stuff as a casting director. And I just reached out to her and I was like, you know, I wrote this part, or I'm writing this part, and I think that you're the right actress for it. And I just want to use your face on my, like, you don't have to attach yourself to it. I'm going to use your face on my lookbook. And she said, can I read it? And she read it and she loved it, but she was still doing Jane. Then when Jane ended, she asked me if she could read it again. And at that time, I had just tweaked it because I had interest from an Oscar award-winning writer who sent me a contract wanting to option it, only his contract made it seem like he's the writer, he's the creator. And it was like, I was so jarred by it that but I didn't want to say no because I knew that the opportunity was very big. The collaborative opportunity, just the name association would be big for me. So I said, let me rework the contract a little bit, see if I could get it somewhere where I can be comfortable, and then we'll work it from there. And at that very moment is when Andrea had texted me and said, can I read it again? And I sent it to her, and within like 2 days, not only did she read it and everything, but also her entire team read it. They loved it. She said, will you option it with me? I said, yes. And then she gave it to Jenny Ehrman, who is the creator and the showrunner of Jane the Virgin, who loved it so much that she gave it to CBS Studios, who loved it so much that they said, yeah, and we think that this is right for CBS, the network. And so we worked together for a while to like develop the pitch to the network. And I learned so much about that process. And it was a Zoom meeting that happened over the summer. And in the room, when I was done with the pitch, like when we were done, they bought it in the room. They said yes.
That's awesome.
The room. And I was just so, and then they were like, okay, we got to go now. I was like, oh my God. And I was crying and everything, like I couldn't believe it. And Jenny Ehrman called me up and she said, Elaine, that's the best thing that could ever happen, is like selling it in the room. So now we just have to, now they're ordering the pilot. So now,
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and then I had to do the outline, and I've learned so much. But working with the entire Sutton Street productions team, like Jenny Ehrman and Joanna Klein's company, Sutton Street, and the whole team there, Tara Joshi and Sierra, Sienna, everybody there, they just give you everything that you need. They check your work, like even like little typos. They're like, okay, comma, dash, period, question mark, any of those things, everything to just bring it to the next level.
Yeah.
And,
let me ask you, because
for
for people watching, the pitch, you come in, you guys work out. It's everybody has their own dialogue almost. Like, this is what you're gonna say. I'm gonna jump in. I say this. I explain this. Then you come in. You explain that. Now I gotta ask you, because I've only done it from the comedy side, where we'll do the pitch and they go, we need more jokes in there. I'm assuming there's no jokes when it comes to drama. You guys are just like,
you know what?
Dramatic.
It's not. So first, it's of course Jenny who says, hey, I'm Jenny. You guys know me. I have a deal with you. So I'm just going to give it to, I got introduced by Andrea to this, and let me just hand it to her. And then she says, I'm Andrea. I've known Elaine for such and such, and I love her, but I'm going to give it to the showrunner now. And then the showrunner says, I've done Medium, I've done Dexter, I've done Elementary, and now I can't wait to work on this show. And now I'm going to give it to Elaine. And then I say, I'm the only one that you've never heard of. So, there is lightness to it, then the entire pitch is actually like literally me talking for 25 minutes, going turn by turn. So first I tell them like about myself and why I want to tell this story. And then I tell them about the protagonist. And then from the protagonist, I say, now let me tell you about the pilot. All right, it starts off like this, and it's just like you're telling a story, and some of those lines are like funny, so you tell them in a funny way, or you'll say, this guy, he missed his calling. He was a stand-up comedy, but he missed his calling, so you're just talking it. You're just telling them about each character and then telling them what happens, and then this brings us, then we're back to where we started 24 hours earlier. And, and you're telling the story, and that's what it's like. And then afterward, of course, they ask you questions about it. Well, what about this? And then you're like, oh, well, that's the best part about it. Well, let me tell you, they do have a relationship. And so you have to tell them the whole turn by turn. And then you give them like 3 future episodes, just like, a paragraph on the future episode, like in this episode when she does this, and then this happens, and she's got to call this one. Like in this episode when she falls, when she falls for this guy, and there's a relationship brewing, so you give them how like it's like you're describing your favorite television show, only it's the one that you created. So there's really nothing better for me. Like I can't wait to tell you about this. And that's what it is. And just being able to answer their questions. And sometimes you don't know the answers, but then like your team is there to say, well, what about this? And that's how it is with the notes process too. They'll say, well, we felt that this needed that. And then like, Jenny Erman, who's a genius at comedy, she'll say, yeah, like, what about this? And like sometimes when Jenny Erman laughs at what I've written, she's like, I love that. That's hilarious. Like that to me is the greatest reward I could ever have, when somebody like that is like loving what I'm writing, laughing out loud when she says, I love what you did to Act 3. Like, I love that. Right. And even when like my showrunner, who's Erica Mittman, who says to me, you got all the character stuff down. Now, like that's the easy part. Now we just have to work on this stuff, like, let me show you. And then she actually sends me examples of stuff. So even though it looks nothing like my show, I need those examples to learn from, so I understand, okay, all right, this is how. But I'm a quick study, thank goodness. But it's definitely a terrific team that I'm working with, and I just want to make them proud of me and make them not sorry.
Right.
So cool. We're so happy for you, and I again, like I said, fingers crossed, sending you all the positive vibes, because I think you're great, and I've met Andrea before, and it's so funny when you meet people, on television stuff, because people are like, how are they really? And I'm like, she is the sweetest person. She really is. She's so amazing. She's so down to earth. So like, I'm so happy that you guys all came together and are creating this project. And I hope nothing but success for you guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Andrea has definitely, she's a star inside and out. I've known it for so long. I told her for so long, I've been telling her before Jane. And now she's really like knocking down doors, and there's no stopping her. Not just her talent as an actress, but also her vision for what she wants, and being willing to actually just even speak my name into the universe to the powers that be, who then, recognized and trusted her enough to say, let's try this. And I don't want to let her down. And I'm very grateful to her.
That's so amazing. So before we let you go, can you tell people where they can find you?
Yes, definitely. Instagram at Elaine Del Valle Director. Definitely follow me there. And I'm basically always on Instagram, which I try to be. Right? I'm trying to build my audience for my feature film of Brownsville Blood that's coming. I want people
to check
see that film.
They're gonna see it.
Go follow her on Instagram, Elaine Del Valle Director. And again, your family here. Anything we can do to help you spread the word, do not hesitate. You also have your films on HBO, and the only reason I bring it up because we're all on the HBO Max family here. Go see Me 3.769. Also, my co-host Sasha Merci's got a movie up there, even though she don't like to talk about it.
HBO's De Lo Mío, yes. It's out there. It's a very beautiful film, and it's about a Dominican family trying to rekindle, their bond. So I think that you guys should watch it.
Listen, let's wrap up 2020. Go watch Me 3.769. Go watch De Lo Mío. And then while you're at it, I've got my half-hour special up there called Super White. Boom, make it a weekend. Make it a whole thing, guys. Let's wrap up 2020.
HBO has been so committed to really helping up and coming, especially the HBO Latino, Jessica Vargas over there. Leslie Cohen is a dream to work with. Rebecca Vasquez, Lucinda Martinez, Axel Caballero. I mean, these people are everything that an indie filmmaker could ever wish for. And their names are synonymous with nothing but, the best. So good for us, right? That we're all up there.
Yes.
And I've been meaning to watch De Lo Mio, and now I'll definitely watch. Did you say it was Super White?
Super White on HBO Max.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, I've been meaning to watch De Lo Mio, so I'll definitely be watching both of those this weekend.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Happy holidays to you and yours, and we will see you next week.
Thank you so much for having me on, guys.